All right, we're gonna start the March 25th call order for a special session. We'll have a roll call.
Commissioner Brinson?
Here.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Furstner?
Here.
Commissioner Oliver?
Here.
All right, we're gonna have we need to start off here with approval of a declaration of local emergency resolution. Do you have any comments, Rob?
Yeah, I can introduce the item, Mayor. As you may recall, March 1st, the governor issued the executive order to control the spread of the coronavirus. And since then, Orange County has declared a state of emergency per ordinances 2020-001, 2, 3, and 4. The mayor of Ocoee subsequently executed the local emergency proclamation, which copies were emailed to all the commission on March 23rd. Proclamation provided for the city manager and staff to be able to respond in a timely manner to administrative issues, staffing, and the provision of city services that may differ from those called out in various city ordinances and resolutions. The charter calls out the mayor's authority for the proclamation to extend for 72 hours, at which time the full city commission must approve the resolution which has been provided to you. This gives the city manager the authority to extend or end the emergency declaration as long as needed to address the coronavirus crisis, and it is expected to be enforced until the county repeals or sunsets their emergency ordinances. I asked the fire chief to be here if y'all had any questions as to what the city's doing at this point, or any other questions you may have, and be happy to answer any questions.
Do
right now.
we need to read this into record?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just read the title to the resolution. This is a resolution of the City of Ocoee, Florida relating to the declaration of a local emergency and providing for an effective date.
All right, this is the one that's for 7 days,
No, this is until the emergency
is lifted?
is lifted.
All right. All right, any, bring it back up here, any comments from the commissioners? I need a motion.
I'll be able to make that motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson, do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Furstner. All right, let's vote. Motion carries unanimously. All right, we're gonna have to take a 3-minute, well, I went ahead and voted anyway, but we're gonna take a 3-minute pause. City clerk said anybody from the public wants to call in or email in, we'll take 3 minutes. Can we talk about anything else, Scott, if we wanted to? Or just wait?
We probably wait.
All right.
If you wanted to, why don't you just call for the next, announce what the next item is, and then if anyone wants to comment on that, they can call during the same 3-minute period.
All right, the next item will be approval for cancellation of the April the 7th, 2020 City Commission meeting.
Yeah, Mayor, I misspoke. If Section 6 deals with the duration. So this is an approval for 7 days, and then
Yeah.
at the city manager's direction, he can extend it
All right, that's what I thought.
through the period.
Okay, so the motion, do we need to redo that?
No, I don't think so, unless we receive some comments, and
No.
we can
All right,
consider
so
it.
the motion is, under what we passed, would be a 7-day resolution.
And the city manager can approve it beyond that, right? Without a special session, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the way it's written, Commissioner, and I would anticipate, as long as the county keeps their ordinance going as far as the state of emergency for the county, it doesn't make sense for us to withdraw ours or sunset ours.
Correct. Good. Do we have comment before we adjourn?
We're not done yet.
No,
Yeah.
no, before we adjourn.
Yeah, I said,
Okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
All right, we're gonna close that public thing and go back. We need item 3 is approval for cancellation of the April 7th, 2020 City Commission meeting.
Did we have comments?
No, no comments or emails were received.
All right. Hear a motion?
Well, I have a question. And the purpose of us canceling the April 7th is per,
The reason that we even brought it up was we went back and we took a look at some of the items we had, and I believe there were 2 items that were second reading that really didn't matter if we pushed off until the next meeting, and mostly administrative and ministerial things are on the consent agenda. So instead of having to, meet again like this until we figure out if we want to do this, telephonically or using electronic methods for the second meeting in April, it's not really important that we have this meeting. We can do without having it. And then one part of the discussion probably should be if you're all interested in us going ahead and getting, cameras for PCs and those types of things at home, if you want to participate electronically for the next meeting, or if you would like to continue the way we're doing it now.
what is the county's or the state's recommendation in regards to municipalities meeting for?
I would leave that to the city
Yeah,
attorney.
so I think the recommendation, you still are an essential business, you can still open and operate, and that applies to the city commission to meet. I think the recommendation is still do the social distancing, so we can either continue to do it this way, or if you wanted, we can have the option to do it electronically in some form. I'm gonna be sending out a memo later this week to each of you, just kind of my recommendation of how we proceed going forward for the next city commission meeting. But that would really look like, and I haven't spoken with the mayor about it, but it would really look like the mayor would be here for sure, because the camera will be here, he'll open the meeting, and whoever else is here is fine. But you could appear by phone or video, if whatever our capabilities are here, and we would conduct business that way. The executive order suspended the requirement that you have, it was a requirement that you had to have a quorum present, physically present here. That would be 3 members would have had to have been here. That executive order, that's no longer in effect, so we don't have to have a physical quorum present. We can have a quorum just by telephone or video.
Okay, so, because I have, in regards to the city doing business, we have vendors out there that, there's a couple of second readings we need to get at, and there's other.
Yeah, and we checked with planning commissioner,
There's other
and
things that we need.
that was one of my
No,
first
that's not my
questions.
question. That's not my question. There's other things that we have to do that may, I don't know what else would have been on that April 7th agenda. So pushing it back, or not pushing, but canceling it, and yet we are still able to meet, I'm not sure why we're canceling it, is my question.
I guess
If
it's
we're not
because it's-
violating any executive order in meeting,
Yeah, I mean, if we had some other method to have it without everyone being in this room, it's kind of what we're doing. We're not having any unnecessary meetings.
Right.
We cancel meetings all the time, and it's not a big deal for us to have one meeting in the month and every once in a while cancel a meeting. We can still get all the business of the city done every 30 days. It's more convenient if you do it twice a month. Things get paid a bit more timelier. I don't know if there's too many, issues where there's a check to be cut in the consent agenda, but there's nothing on there that's considered an emergency type thing that we have to move forward with. So our thought was, if we really don't have to meet, as we're doing with all our meetings right now, if we don't have to meet, we'd recommend not meeting.
all right.
It's, Rob, I don't know if you want me to, I did poll the department heads just so that our department would have a procedure for getting the agenda together, and most of the response was they didn't have anything for the April 7th meeting, that it could wait until the second meeting in April.
Personally
Pull
feel
your,
as though-
pull your mic over, Commissioner.
Personally feel under the circumstances, if there's nothing on the agenda that has time sensitive, I think we should be adhering to the staying home and being in place. And if there's not, again, if there's nothing that's vitally important that's going to affect any ongoing issues that you're dealing with, I personally feel is that we should be not here. It's not necessary.
Commissioner, one other additional thing. The resolution you just adopted authorized the city manager to essentially carry on a lot of the business that would be necessary. So I don't think we're delaying anything or causing a stoppage in city business by not having a meeting in April, just because of the authority that Rob now has under the resolution just adopted.
All right. Okay. thank
Any
you.
other comments to that?
Yeah, I do have just a couple comments. Well, one, I think that if we were not canceling this meeting, I'm sure that we can put something on this agenda that needs to be taken care of. I don't see any reason, if we have the ability, may it be using a electronic medium or we're physically here, if we still have the ability to move the city forward and to continue to conduct business, I think we should do so. I do believe in our last meeting, we had some conversation just about this particular topic here, which kind of went off into our, our city charter, which had nothing to do with what we were talking about. We were simply talking about being able to meet, move the city forward, and what mediums do we do that. With this executive order, it allows us to be in different locations. Now, in the past 2 days, I've had several meetings where people were all over the country, and we were meeting in several rooms, video, chat, several different mediums. I've had three or four conference calls per day where people were all over the country. We were being able to meet. And I don't see why we cannot continue to put items on our agenda that we can actually make decisions on as we move forward, because the mechanisms, we have the mechanisms. The governor's executive order allows us to do so. We're not breaking any sunshine laws. And if you don't physically want to be here, then pull up your iPad and open up the meeting and let's move forward. Let's move the city forward. That's just my personal opinion. Again, we talked about this last year back in June. How do we establish procedures or processes where we are able to do these things outside of the executive order when something happens to one of us, when we may be quarantined or we're ill, we're gravely ill. We have an IG opinion on that, which is a great opinion, and there's no problem with that. But I think we need to adopt our own our own procedures as to how we handle things when it comes to a situation where a person is gravely ill or some extraordinary circumstances where they just cannot be here. That needs to be put on paper. That needs to be put inside of our either charter or some type of administrative order. And I think it's just a matter of taking the IG opinion, adding to that, saying, hey, there's these circumstances which is deemed by this commission as extraordinary, so this person is not going to be able to make the meeting, but here is what we do. This is what we do, and this is how we do it. So I think that's a very reasonable request to be able to put this information in writing, to put it so we're able to continue on conducting business for whatever reason. That's just not for me, it's not for you, it's for all of us. Because again, we're not indestructible. It's going to come a time, I guarantee you, and we talked about this last week, and here we are now in an emergency session based on coronavirus, where any one of us could have been quarantined outside of executive order that just happened, as opposed to last week when this executive order could have been at any point. I'm not finished. So again, prior to this executive order, any one of us could have been self-quarantined. We need to have a procedure in place to be able to state that.
I want to finish.
I'm finishing my.
I know, I want to finish the issue. You're not talking about what we were talking about.
I'm almost finished my
We're talking
sentence.
about.
So
the
anyway,
meeting.
any procedure
We're talking about
that
the
we could
meeting.
actually have done,
Commissioner,
I think
you're
that
out
it
of
would have
order.
been to our benefit
Sir.
to have something in writing.
I'm called to order.
Now
You're
I'm
out of
done.
order.
Now I'm done.
You discussed we're talking about approval for cancellation of the April the 7th. The other issue we'll talk after we finish this. All right. April the 7th meeting. You want a motion?
I'll be happy to make that motion.
Make the motion.
Make the motion to cancel the April 7th, 2020 City Commission meeting.
Motion been made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner First. All right, let's vote.
Motion
All right, motion carries, cancel April 7th meeting. April the 21st will be next scheduled commission meeting, and that should, everything should be over. Now, did you want to talk on the, no? All right, go ahead and finish on what you were saying.
I think I did finish.
Okay,
I
all
was
right.
able to
And
finish.
what I'm gonna ask then, I'm gonna ask the commissioners, we should have done this the other night. We discussed this issue 3 or 4 times now. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask for a motion that we do not do anything except what the Attorney General's ruling is on the meetings.
Yeah, I have a question at this point.
All right,
Is that to be on the agenda? Because this is only 2 items, and if we're only doing 2 items, we're done, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, if we wanted to have a discussion about it, but we shouldn't make any policy decisions or
well, next meeting we
adopt.
can.
We can at the next meeting.
Because my understanding is there's 2 items on the agenda, we're done.
Right. If you want to talk about something generally, that's fine, but to make a decision.
April 21st.
We ought to do it at the next city commission meeting.
I don't care to have any discussion. I
Okay.
think if we've closed City Hall, we shouldn't even be here.
All right, well, we're supposed to be here doing
I know
this.
that, but I realize that, but we're done.
We had to come to do this.
Yes, I understand.
So that issue can come back up on April 21st, then we can make it, do what we have to do.
Yeah, there's no rush on the issue. I just
It's not
think
gonna
that there should be
change.
something in writing. No rush. We don't have to do this tomorrow. I just think this is something we should be considering as we have our fire chief writing down policies as we go, because we're actually writing history as we go. This is being written right now. So I think that this should be a part of that consideration.
Before we finish, my comments are on this. We've talked about this 4 times. It's been over the years, same thing. It's in the Attorney General thing. If you can't come to a meeting, if you're, just like when Commissioner Brinson was out with his operation, we worked, and that's what it is. We've discussed this thing 3 or 4 times. We've come up with the majority of the votes that say no. So that thing should be stopped. So if we get to the April 21st meeting, we can vote on it. But that works. If you're not here, you're out traveling or not here, that's the way it is. You get 3 or 4
That has
meetings.
nothing to do with traveling. It has
Well,
nothing to do with our.
I'm just saying,
what we
let me
established has
finish,
nothing to do
sir.
with not being
Let me
here.
finish. You've
Has nothing to do with us
talked,
not
you
being
talked, now let me finish.
Go ahead.
I didn't say, I said traveling, whatever you're doing. Don't matter, working, traveling, whatever.
I'm not talking about working travel. I said
Sir,
extenuating
let me finish.
medical circumstances.
No, there is no circumstance, except
There
when
are
if you're sick,
circumstances.
if you're
Just-
sick.
You're not indestructible.
If you're-
This is not just for me,
This
it's for
has
you
no-
as well.
You know, you
Don't
have
try
to
to
be.
twist what I
Meeting
say.
adjourned.